So this is a video and a topic that I have genuinely wanted to sit down and properly talk about for a very long time, but I've intentionally put it off because I want to make sure that I communicate this effectively. It's not like I was procrastinating or anything. I genuinely have so many thoughts on this topic, so many notes, so many documents, so many voice memos, audio journals of me just expressing my thoughts on this subject and on this topic. So I wanted to make sure that I had everything structured properly, so when I finally do make this recording, I'm able to articulate myself well, structure my thoughts well, and just talk from the heart and talk from a very real place, because it's something that I've actually sat with and processed and taken my time to think about before just making a recording about it. So today's topic and what I'm going to be talking about in this video is all about relationships and heartbreak and love, all of that. And it's actually hilarious because I was looking at my Spotify analytics for the podcast the other day, and I genuinely laughed out loud. 70% of my audience on Spotify are women, which, first of all, hello, I love that. I think that's just hilarious. I don't know what the YouTube split would be and what that looks like. I'd definitely be curious, and that's probably something that I should figure out. But yeah, I just think that's hilarious. When I first started structuring my thoughts, when making this recording, I had no idea that the majority of people listening would probably be female. Today, you are going to hear from a guy's perspective on this subject. A 25-year-old guy who's very much still figuring everything out, someone who's making mistakes, course correcting, figuring it all out again. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting. We'll see how it goes. But genuinely, I think emotional intelligence is one of those things that takes real time to develop. It's not something that you just wake up one day and have. I feel like I'm a lot more emotionally intelligent than I was at one point, for sure. Not even close. I can say wholeheartedly I'm a lot better at it than I used to be, but I'm not perfect at this. I do not have all the answers. I think a big part of that growth came from going through some painful experiences and actually choosing to sit with them and learn from them rather than just distracting myself and running away from them, actually being able to face things head on, which is, spoiler alert, kind of what this whole conversation, what this whole video is about. So I just want to be open and real and share my opinions and perspectives. Take anything I say with a grain of salt, because this is just one person's experience and outlook. But yeah, I'm just going to share my whole opinion when it comes to relationships and love and heartbreak. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So I think when it comes to heartbreak specifically, I feel like this is something that a lot of us have gone through, right? Majority of people listening to this probably have experienced heartbreak in some capacity in relationships. And like I said, I want to be completely upfront. I do not have any of this figured out. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've cracked the code when it comes to relationships. I'm not someone with a perfect relationship track record. I'm not going to tell you how things should be done, not even close. I have made mistakes. I've lost myself. I've been the guy that was way too available, way too in his head. We've all been there. I'm just sharing my perspective, things that I've lived through, things that I've thought about a lot, a lot, and hopefully something in here resonates with you. So I'm going to kick this off strong. There may be someone who clicks off this video when I say this, but I genuinely believe with every single fiber of my being that heartbreak is such a blessing. It sounds insane, but I believe that heartbreak is such a blessing. When you're in it, it definitely does not feel like a blessing. It feels everything but a blessing. It feels like you got hit by a bus. I understand that it's brutal and that it's genuinely painful. I just think we should honor that and not pretend that it's easy. And by actually feeling fully and letting yourself feel fully and not running away from what it is you're experiencing, that is how over time you will start to come to the realization that what you are going through is actually a blessing for you. Pretending that it's easy and pretending that you're fine when you're not is what ultimately causes people to go downhill, in my opinion and from my experience. The fact that you can feel so deeply is beautiful. That is actually like kind of extraordinary if you're asking my opinion. So many people spend their whole lives running away from their feelings. They distract themselves. They try numbing themselves. They try constantly staying busy and scrolling their phone, doing anything just to avoid sitting with what's actually going on internally, with what's actually going on inside themselves. And there's something so powerful about being the type of person who can actually sit with things fully and face things head on. The person who can sit in the discomfort and go, this is so painful, this is so shitty, this is so real, this is happening. I am going to let myself feel it rather than run from it. There's so many people, man, like, and I'm talking from personal experience, it's like some of the most surface level advice that you will get from people when you're going through heartbreak is like, you need to meet the next person right away. You should go out and like completely distract yourself and not sit with what it is you're currently feeling. I think that's horrible advice. Like, I believe that you need to give yourself time before you get back into another relationship or start just like casually dating or seeing people. Like, taking the necessary time to process what it is that you are currently going through, in my opinion, is so vital. That to me is the first blessing of heartbreak, because it cracks you open. It forces you to feel things that you might have been avoiding for a very long time. If you're in a position right now where you're going through heartbreak, trust me, I get it. I know it sucks and it's horrible. Please give yourself time to process how you're feeling, and do not distract yourself. Do not run from it. Do not avoid it, because that's only going to hurt you in the long run. You are going to get out of it, and you are going to come out on the other side much stronger, being a more well-rounded person, if you give yourself time to process how you feel. What an absolute blessing it is to feel so deeply. Process it, feel it, do not run from it, and that will not only benefit you, but it will also benefit the next relationship that you get into. One of the worst things you could do, in my opinion, is carry old baggage into something new, something fresh. Another thing that has shifted for me, and this took a long time for me to understand, but if you really want to love someone fully, like you genuinely want to love fully and completely, you have to be willing to lose the other person. And I don't mean that in a detached, like cold way. I mean it in the sense that real love can't come from a place of clinging. It can't come from this energy of like, you are mine, you belong to me, you can never leave me, because that's not love. That's ownership. And whether you realize it or not, that kind of energy, that fear-based, clinging, needy energy, is the very thing that slowly suffocates a relationship. Think about it. When you're in that headspace where you're terrified of losing someone, you start to operate from insecurity. You get controlling. You get jealous over things that don't matter. You stop being yourself because you're so focused on keeping this person happy and keeping them around. And ironically, that's what pushes people away. Operating from scarcity and attachment and control and insecurity and desperation in any avenue, any realm of life is only going to backfire. Like, that's the only outcome. That is the type of energy that runs things into the ground and that causes them to fail, in my opinion, and causes you to feel like shit, whether it's a relationship, whether it's you getting after your goals. Approaching things with a needy lack energy will always repel them. Real, genuine love, the kind that actually feels good for both people, has to be free. It has to be free. It has to be chosen every single day. And that's the thing that people don't always want to hear. The person you are with is not obligated to be with you. They're choosing you. Every day they wake up and they're still there. That is a choice. And how beautiful is that? Actually, like, when you think about that, that someone out of every single option they have in the world keeps choosing you. And that is absolutely beautiful. That's beautiful. But if you start to take it for granted, if you get comfortable and stop appreciating the fact that it's a choice, that's when love starts to turn into expectation. And expectation is not love. Attachment is not love. Love is free. Love is showing up fully because you want to, not because you feel trapped. I think this is part of why so many marriages struggle, honestly. Not because people stop caring about one another, but because like marriage, like the label, the contract sometimes tricks people into thinking that love is guaranteed, right? It's guaranteed now. Like, okay, we're married, this is locked in. And then without even realizing it, they stop doing the things that made the love feel alive in the first place. It becomes more of an obligation, a routine. And that's a really quiet, like slow kind of heartbreak that I think actually may be harder than the dramatic kind. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about next is like this really big reframe that has completely changed the way that I think about relationships. And this is the part that I really want to dig into. So I'm going to start it off with a question. Why do people in the healthiest and happiest relationships spend so much time with their partner? And most people would say it's because they're so in love with them, because they love being around them. And yeah, of course, I think that's definitely part of it. But I think there's a much deeper reason and a more real reason, and it's something else entirely. I believe that the people who show up best in relationships, the ones who are genuinely happy with their partner, not just dependent on them, those people are actually deeply, genuinely in love with themselves first, with their own lives. They're just so happy and content and in love with their own routine, with their own growth, with their own worlds. And that just pours into everything they do. Just picture this for a second, okay? You wake up in the morning, your day is already full. You haven't packed your day out of fear of being alone or with your thoughts. You genuinely love how you choose to spend your time. You wake up early, you go for a walk by yourself. You're so comfortable in your own skin. You're so comfortable in your own presence that you actually crave that quietness. You don't listen to any music. You don't listen to a podcast. Maybe you don't even bring your phone. It's just you, your thoughts, the air, and you love it. That stillness allows you to just breathe, to think, to exist for a few minutes before your day actually starts. Maybe you get home, you meditate. You've seen firsthand how much clearer and more grounded you feel and more grounded your days are when you choose to do it. It's not some trend you're following. It's just something that genuinely works for you and something that you love. Maybe you go to the gym because you love feeling strong. You love feeling capable in your body, and you're proud of the fact that you show up for yourself consistently. You work on your business or you work on your craft because you are genuinely excited about what it is you're building. Maybe you go to the grocery store after you get yourself something good to eat and you go home and you cook it for yourself. You actually spend that time cooking for yourself and you find a lot of joy in doing that. Maybe you go on a hike or you call a friend or you read a really good book. Your day is genuinely, legitimately full. You have things going on and you feel this sense of wholeness internally while you do those things. You have a life that you love. You have a relationship with yourself that is rich and meaningful and fulfilling. Someone else isn't the source of your happiness or your fulfillment. Maybe at the end of your really busy day, you have a couple hours that you spend with your partner. They're not the source of your fulfillment. They're just the cherry on top. They're the person you choose to share your wholeness with, not the person you need to feel whole. And I think that's the distinction between needing someone and choosing someone. That, I think, is everything. It's so important. And I want to tie this into a book that genuinely messed me up in the best way possible. It's a book that I have made tons and tons of videos about, a book that I have made a full podcast talking about, and it's called The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you haven't read it, like after listening to this recording, go get it, read it. I promise you it will change your life. It changed mine in the best way possible. There's this great analogy in the book that I think about from time to time. And Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of this book, talks about imagining that every human being is like a magic kitchen. And I know that sounds weird, but let me just explain. Inside you, you have this endless supply of food, of love, of joy, of fulfillment, and you can feed yourself from that kitchen anytime you want. But when you're not aware of this, we walk around like our kitchen is empty. We feel this hunger, this emotional hunger. We look outside of ourselves to feed it. We look for someone to come along to fill us up. And when we find a person who does that, who makes us feel good, who gives us that hit of love and validation, we get attached. We think, I need this person, and without them, I'm going to go hungry. And so we hold on, we grip, we compromise ourselves to keep them around because we're terrified of what might happen if they leave and the kitchen goes empty again. And that, Ruiz would say, is not love. That's emotional dependency dressed up as love. True love in this framework looks completely different. It's two people who have full kitchens. They're not hungry. They're not looking for someone to complete them. They're complete on their own. They come together not out of need, but of genuine desire to share their abundance and share their wholeness with someone else. That hit me so hard when I read it for the first time, because I could look back at like an old relationship, for example, and be like, this is where I was operating from a place of hunger or a place of like lack. And sometimes it's hard in the moment to actually know what it is you're doing. It's much easier to like see with clarity like how you moved when you're looking back. Like hindsight is 2020. I understand that, but I'd like look back and I'd be like, oh, look, I was operating from a place of insecurity there. I was operating from a place of hunger. I'd lost myself. I'd sacrificed things that matter to me, whether it's my routines or my goals or, you know, my sense of who I was, trying to keep someone else happy, trying to fill that emptiness I was feeling through them. And it never worked. It doesn't work. You can't fill an internal void with an external person. There's another great story in this book called The Man Who Didn't Believe in Love. I have a full podcast recording / YouTube video, and I'll try putting it up on the screen somewhere here where you'll be able to listen to it. But I have this full episode or full podcast recording of me actually reading from this book and sharing this story and my opinions and takes on it and just like things that I've learned from this story and this book. If you're interested in listening to that, maybe you'll find it interesting if you're enjoying this recording. But the main message is simply coming to the understanding that you cannot place your happiness and your fulfillment in someone else's hands. That's your responsibility. And to be honest, like, I'm not going to pretend I figured this out easily, because I didn't. For a big chunk of my life, I genuinely believed, you know, somewhere deep down that the right relationship was going to make me feel complete. Like, there was this missing piece, and, you know, there was going to be some girl out there that was going to hand it to me. And when I was in certain relationships or whatever, like, the sense of myself slowly started to disappear. It's not like intentional. I'm not even sure I even noticed it happening most of the time, but I'd stopped doing the things that made me me. I didn't really even know who I was at the time. You know, when I look back, like, I was very young, but, you know, you just stop prioritizing things that made you you, or you stop prioritizing things that brought you joy. And I'd kind of mold myself around someone else's world. And that's when things, you know, go downhill for sure. And when that happens, not only are you left heartbroken, for example, but you're also left a bit lost, because you'd given so much of yourself away that you didn't really know who you were outside of the relationship anymore. Like, I feel like that's something that can happen and something that's actually pretty common. It's a rough place to be in. It's uncomfortable, but also in hindsight, it's incredibly necessary, because that discomfort was the thing that finally made me ask the question, like, do I feel empty when I'm alone? Like, what am I not giving myself that I keep expecting other people to give me? And that question, man, like, that question was the beginning of something actually like really useful and something like transformational. Because you're like, who am I really? Like, I spent so much time with this person, or this, I poured so much of myself into this thing. Like, I don't really know who I am outside of this thing. And that, for me, like, when I experienced that for the first time, was like, holy shit, like, that is when I really started to fall in love with this whole world of like self-improvement and self-development. And I actually started to develop like a greater purpose, like as a man and as a person, because it's just like, wow, like, I have not neglected myself, but I haven't poured enough into myself. And especially when you're young, like, building that foundation internally with yourself is so important. And that, like, that heartbreak gave me the opportunity. It was such a blessing because it gave me the opportunity to look inward and build that foundation with myself. And maybe that's something that would have happened either way, but I see that heartbreak as a valuable lesson because it led me more to myself, if that makes sense. And again, I do believe that this is actually a very common experience that a lot of people go through. And this ties directly into our first point of, okay, are you going to face that feeling head on, or are you going to run from it and avoid it and escape it? Which path are you going to go down? Because one leads to self-discovery, growth, elevation, just becoming a better version of yourself. And the other path leads to just you running from everything and carrying this baggage with you. And because you're not processing your feelings and your emotions, and you're not actually processing what happened, you're going to get into another relationship that's only going to negatively impact the relationship that you get into. And not only are you going to continue harming yourself, but you're harming somebody new that really has nothing to do with your previous relationship or your previous heartbreak. And that's not fair. That's not fair to the other person. So here's what I started doing. And I'm not perfect with this. Again, I'm really not. I'm just trying to figure everything out. The goal, though, and the thing that I've been working toward is getting so genuinely happy just by being yourself and being with yourself that you don't need anything from anyone. And it's like, this isn't coming from a cold way or like a closed off way. It's not coming from a I don't care about connection kind of way, but in a way where my baseline, like my default state is just good. Like I'm good with me. I'm fulfilled. I'm at peace because I've built a life I actually love. Like I have a morning routine that I look forward to. I have work that excites me. I have a body I'm taking care of. I have friendships that mean something to me that I nurture. I have hobbies. I have things that I'm curious about and things that I want to learn more of. There's things I'm learning and growing into. I'm just in love with my own life, and I have such a solid foundation built like internally within myself. And when you get to that place, or even as you start moving toward that place, something really interesting happens with how you choose to show up in relationships. You stop being needy and desperate. You stop needing the other person to validate you or reassure you or make you feel like okay internally. You stop keeping score and getting resentful when they can't fill whatever gap you've got going on internally, because that gap isn't there anymore, or at least it's a lot smaller. You become someone who's choosing to be in a relationship because it genuinely adds to your life, not someone who's in a relationship because they're terrified of being alone. It's a choice. You want to be with that person because you love them and you care about them and you want to spend your time with them. And in my eyes, that's even like more valuable and more special because you don't need them. You're whole already. You're choosing them and you're choosing to be with them because you like share each other's completeness. And that's really special and really beautiful. That energy, I think, is honestly really magnetic because there's nothing more attractive than someone who's clearly good with themselves. Someone who has their own thing going on, someone who doesn't need you, but genuinely wants you. That's a completely different dynamic. Okay, so what does this actually look like in real life? Because I don't want this to be like some abstract philosophy. Like I want to really make this as practical as I possibly can be, where you listen to this and you genuinely get some sort of advice or something resonates and you're able to actually take this and apply it to your own life. I don't want to sound like I'm preaching either. I hope I'm not coming across that way. But I think the first step in all of this is spending time alone, like going for walks by yourself. Just you, your thoughts, sitting with yourself at a coffee shop, taking yourself out on a meal, learning to enjoy your own company, genuinely, not just tolerating yourself, actually learning to like love yourself and spend time with yourself and being comfortable in your own skin. You know, this means building routines that are yours, routines that feel true to you. Morning routines, evening routines, whatever works for you, things that make you feel like you have a handle on your life, things that when you do them, they give you this quiet sense of, yeah, like I'm taking care of myself, I love myself, and I'm showing up for myself. It means having goals and working toward them consistently, not because productivity is, the meaning of life, but because working towards something meaningful and expressing yourself in those things gives you a sense of direction that fills you up in a way that no relationship ever could or ever can. And honestly, it means being a little bit selfish, not in some like toxic way, but in a way where you understand that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're depleted, if you're running on empty, if you're sacrificing every part of your life for someone else, you are going to show up as a fraction of yourself. And a fraction of yourself is not what you want to offer the people you love. The people you love should get 100% you, 100% you, like the fullest, truest version of you. I think the most generous thing you can actually do for the people in your life, including, your partner or whoever you're in a relationship with, is to show up as your fullest, most whole self. And that requires taking care of yourself first, pouring into your own cup. So when I just take a second here and I like zoom back out and think about, heartbreak and relationships, like my opinion and thoughts on this whole topic has changed a lot. And the way that I think about these things, I think they've shaped who I am as a person. I just feel very grateful that I've gotten to a point where I just look back and I'm able to say like everything that I went through or experienced, whatever, like it's all a blessing and it's all ultimately for my betterment. And I'm genuinely grateful I went through everything that I went through because I like love myself and I love where I am right now. And I wouldn't change a thing because I love who I am and where I'm at. If you are in a position right now where you're going through heartbreak or, you're in a relationship and, maybe you feel like you're losing a bit of yourself in that relationship, just know that you can always come back to yourself and that things are going to get better. The shit's painful. It's hard. It's real. It's not fun, but it taught me, heartbreak specifically taught me things that I genuinely don't think I would have learned any other way. It showed me where I was giving myself away. It showed me where I'd been operating from a place of incompleteness, looking for someone or something to fill me up. It showed me that the love I was searching for, this deep, complete, unconditional feeling of being okay, was never going to come from outside of me. It was always something that you have to go in first to find. It's always inside. It's always been inside. And I'd just been looking in the wrong direction. And now, again, like I'm still figuring this out. I still fall short sometimes. I still catch myself losing the plot. But my default understanding of myself is different. When I start to feel that pull toward losing myself in someone or something else, or feeling like my wholeness and my worthiness and my peace is dependent on me reaching my goals or getting into a relationship, whatever the case might be, I can actually recognize it now. I can check in with myself. I can ask myself, am I showing up from a place of wholeness right now? Or am I seeking something from this person that I should be giving myself? And that self-awareness alone has been worth more to me than I can really articulate. So yeah, that is where I'm really left with all this. Coming to relationships and approaching everything, your goals, relationships, whatever it is, from a place of wholeness rather than incompleteness. Falling in love with your own life first, developing a relationship with yourself first, a foundation within yourself first, being so genuinely happy with yourself. And when someone amazing comes along, which they will at the right time, the perfect person for you will come at the right time, you're not looking for them to save you. You're just looking to share what you've already got. And I think coming to that realization is really special and something that takes time. But yeah, go read The Mastery of Love if you haven't. That is a fantastic book. It's a short book. You can read it in a few days, and there are ideas in there that will stick with you for like the rest of your life. I know it will for me. And look, again, if you're going through heartbreak or you're in a relationship and you feel like you're losing a sense of yourself, I just want to say that it's okay. Like, let yourself feel it fully. Don't run from what you're feeling. Sit with it. And when you're ready, maybe start asking, what it's trying to show you. Because usually underneath like that pain and that discomfort that you're feeling, there is a lesson in there that's worth something. Again, I'm still learning. We're all still learning. That's kind of the whole point. But yeah, I really appreciate you listening to this. If you've listened this far, I think this is one of my longest recordings. But yeah, I appreciate you listening. Leave a comment if you resonate with this or this inspired some thought in you. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want me to talk about in future recordings. I appreciate you listening, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart. Anybody who likes and subscribes and comments and reaches out and DMs me, I really appreciate you all. So thank you again for listening. I hope you're having an incredible day wherever you are listening to this, and I will see you in the next recording very soon.